I was asked to write a memo to the Attorney General recommending that these 9 individuals get this relief that she was interested in granting to some deserving Americans. And when the memo came back to me, the comment was, please add Mel Gibson to this recommendation.
Who asked you to add Mel Gibson?
An official in the office of the Deputy Attorney General who is running this project on the day-to-day instructed me that Mel Gibson should be added to the memo.
Do you know the name of that person? Could you share it with us?
It's one of the associate deputy attorney generals. There are several in the office, and I don't want to call anyone out by name, but there are, it's email traffic between me and a number of individuals in the Deputy Attorney General's office about this issue, and the request was made, and I responded that I was unable to fulfill the request because I did not have enough information about Mr. Gibson to be able to recommend that, given his history of domestic violence, he should receive his gun rights back. That's something that is a public safety question. It's very dangerous to mix people with history of domestic abuse and firearms. That substantially increases the likelihood of catastrophic outcomes in domestic violence situations, and that was just not a recommendation that I could make lightly.
So how long between when you sent that response saying you could not in good faith recommend Mel Gibson and the time you were fired?
It all unfolded very quickly. I was asked to add him to my recommendation on Thursday evening, and I did not sleep at all Thursday night because I understood that the consequence of not fulfilling this request was likely that I would no longer even be in these conversations. Dissent within the Department of Justice is just being aggressively silenced. People are afraid to speak up. They're afraid to object. I confided in a colleague who expressed the view that yes is really the only acceptable answer to requests that are being made by department leadership. And so I understood that the consequences were potentially serious for my career at the Department of Justice. And when I came into work on Friday morning, I said to a colleague, I really think that Mel Gibson might be my downfall. And within hours of saying that, I was being escorted out of my office.
And you got this letter with Todd Blanche's signature on it saying that you were being terminated.
Yeah, I've never met Mr. Blanche, but I received that letter with his signature saying I was being terminated.
So we have a statement that we got from Todd Blanche, who's the Deputy Attorney General, for people who don't know. And in it they said, quote, this former employee's version of events is false. Her decision to voice this erroneous accusation about her dismissal is in direct violation of her ethical duties as an attorney and is a shameful distraction from our own critical mission to prosecute violent crime, enforce our nation's immigration laws, and make America safe again. What is your response to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche?
Look, Caitlin, it's terrifying that the number 2 official in the Department of Justice believes that my ethical duty is to keep silent about what is going on inside the Department of Justice. My ethical duty as a DOJ employee is to uphold the laws of this country, to do justice, and to serve the people who I was appointed to serve. It is not to hide the fact that career employees like myself are being punished for expressing dissenting views and for refusing to follow direction.
And again, this was all being streamed, the shadow hearing, on the Midas Touch Network, the official destination for shadow hearings. We're going to make sure we're covering all of these hearings. This is Democratic Senator Adam Schiff. These are his remarks from the shadow hearing. You're going to want to watch this whole thing. This is very, very powerful stuff, as exclusively seen on the Midas Touch Network yesterday. Let's play it.
And we've come to realize, much to our shock, that there's nothing inevitable about this. There's nothing inevitable about democracy or democratization, that this experiment in this country, this great experiment, self-governance, now 2.5 centuries old, is not inevitable. It was improbable at its start. And we've witnessed something we never would have imagined in this country. We have witnessed with incredible rapidity the creation of a climate of fear by this administration. We see universities afraid to speak out, to defend their own students, to defend their own academic freedom. You see universities rushing to make deals with the administration. You see universities cowed into silence, not stepping up to defend other universities. You see members of the press excluded from public events because they don't use the administration's favored parlance. And you don't see other members of the press in solidarity with them. You see law firms rush to cut separate deals. You see lawyers purged from the Department of Justice. You see FBI agents purged from the Bureau. You see scientists purged from their agencies. A wholesale effort to weed out and drive out anyone of independent thinking, anyone who will stand up and defend the rule of law or science or the freedom of thought or expression, right down to ordinary citizens who are now afraid. If the government of the United States can pluck a man off the street and send him to a prison in El Salvador without any kind of due process or any process whatsoever, then no one is safe. And if the government's response to that is to discipline a lawyer who dares to speak the truth to a court, then no one is safe. And the answer to this climate of fear, there really is only one answer, and you're seeing it today, and that is courage. We must demonstrate courage in the face of this fear. In this very committee room, or one like it, Joseph McCarthy and his allies made the country afraid and caused people to inform on each other and betray each other, allowed people and to be driven out of the government and to be persecuted. And we wondered how that could be. We wondered how could so many people be complicit. Well, now we know. Now we know. Now we have witnessed it in our own time. But I will say this of the brave witnesses who have come and testified today. All of the rest of us have to ask ourselves, looking back at the McCarthy era, what would we have done? What would we have done if we were faced with the loss of our jobs, if we were faced with the loss of our livelihood, if we were faced with the loss of our position? What would we have done? Well, you don't have to ask that question. Your being here is all the answer anyone could demand, and we are deeply, deeply grateful to you.
Now, before the hearing, as Senator Schiff noted, as I noted at the beginning of this video, the Trump administration is trying to intimidate and silence Liz Oyer, a Justice Department attorney who was fired for doing her job. Today we'll be hearing her story. So this is from her law firm, the Bromwich Group.